Hello everyone and welcome to Humble Impressions, where I take a look at a Humble Bundle game and see if it's worth playing. Before I get started today, I want to apologize for not getting more videos out in the last week or so. Things have been a little busy and I just haven't gotten around to making too many videos, but hopefully that'll be mostly done with now and I can start pumping out videos a little faster. So in this video I'm going to take a look at Galak-Z. Galak-Z was in the Indie Humble Bundle that came out a few days ago. It's in the dollar tier, I believe. It's a top-down roguelite, whatever you want to call it. Someday I'm actually going to look at what everybody considers the definitions of those to be. But the point is, it's got roguelike elements, procedurally generated levels. There's some loot to it. You also have, depending on how you decide to play, you can lose your progress if you die. There's actually two choices on that. You can play one mission at a time and it saves your progress, or you can play the other way. I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head, but you can do a series of missions at a time, and each time you do a set, once you get to the end, then it saves your progress. It's usually like, I think it's 4 or 5 missions. So it does have some of those elements to it, which I think are a positive on the game. I think actually playing it that way is probably the better way to play the game. I spent about an hour and a half with the game. Overall, I had a lot of fun with it. Most of the earlier missions, at least, are pretty straightforward. You basically go to a place, collect a thing, and then get out of there. When you start out, the enemies are pretty easy to kill. However, after the first couple missions, I finally started running into some guys that were actually pretty tough to kill, and they were what actually ended up causing me to die, have to restart, and, well, actually I died, tried to get my stuff back, then died again, and then had to restart. So they definitely start to ramp up pretty quickly. One really neat thing is there are some little bubbles. I think they're supposed to be plants around in these levels. You can probably see them on the screen there. Those little bubbles, depending on what's in them. I only ran into 2 types so far, but they're kind of environmental damage and effects. There's one set that's little round ones that actually slow down you or any enemy that ends up in them. There's also a triangular shaped one. It kills your shields, or it kills the enemy shields if you can manage to get them to run through it. It's very important on some of those enemies, or at least it's one way to take down those enemies a whole lot easier. Because some of the enemies, when they have the shields, it can be kind of difficult to actually damage their shields enough to really start doing damage to them. Not without taking a whole bunch of damage yourself. Throughout the mission, you're going to be collecting, it may be called scrap. It's basically some kind of currency. You can use that to get your ship repaired in between missions, or to refill your missiles. I think you can also occasionally buy some upgrades. You also find a lot of upgrades during levels. You can pick them up. They spawn on the map. I believe they're mostly random. There's some that are actually set upgrades, like there's one that allows you to kind of dodge or move over certain missiles that are shooting at you. So you get that no matter what, and it is critical to learn how to use that. You also get a boost, I believe. You may start with the boost. I really am not remembering this very well right now. But anyway, you can pick up gear, and then in between missions you can equip that gear. You actually have several slots and you can choose different effects. If you die, your gear is lost, although as long as you have these coins, it's the purple currency up in the top right corner. If you have those coins, you can kind of do a restart, even on the harder difficulty, the one where you have to do 4 or 5 missions to save progress. You can use one of those coins and you can try again and try to go back and get your stuff. I failed at that too, because it is pretty hard to actually go get your stuff once you've lost it and you're trying to go through the same level you just went through and died to go get your stuff. You don't know where your stuff actually is. It's somewhere on the map. So I ended up spending a bunch of time looking around for this stuff, and I got myself killed eventually. It may have actually been better at that point to just try to finish the mission normally and say screw the gear, just so I could get through that set of missions. So the gameplay and the gunplay in this is actually pretty solid. I will say that the controls are fine. They really didn't detract from the experience at all, exactly. but I was always left feeling like the controls were somewhat of a limitation. And I think it is on purpose, but for me, that's something that's kind of a pet peeve to me, that kind of gets on my nerves, even though I know some games have to have a certain control scheme in order to work properly, in order to play right. Sometimes it just feels a little off, and I just keep feeling like it's my limitation, not how much skill I have, but it's the limitation of the controls. And what I mean by that are a couple things. One, the aiming reticle doesn't come out very far from your ship. If you're using mouse and keyboard, you're moving your mouse and it moves that reticle, but you can't actually put it over an enemy or anything like that. It comes out about an inch or so, at least on my monitor, in front of my ship, and I had a hard time keeping track of that little red triangle when all kinds of bullets were flying at me and I was shooting and there was debris floating around. Like, I had a really hard time figuring out where exactly my ship was pointed, which is also what that reticle is for, and where I was trying to shoot at, while also trying to dodge bullets, because you can't get hit that many times before your ship blows up. So between both of those things, it kind of was pretty difficult to figure out exactly where I was aiming. But like I said, I think that was partially on purpose. The other thing is, you basically, most of the time, are going to be using W and then that aiming reticle to move around. You can use A, S, and D to use boosters on each side, in the back and then on the sides. It felt fine, but there were times where I felt like I was kind of flying all over the place, and if it controlled a little differently, I wouldn't have been. I would have been able to take those enemies out fine, which, again, I think is on purpose, but kind of a pet peeve for me. And that could just be me upset that I sucked so bad at it that I kept getting my ass handed to me. But whatever the case is, I found it a little awkward to control, but not that awkward to control. It's still a lot of fun, and honestly, there's a very high skill ceiling here, I believe, to where the longer you play, you could get really good at using the way this plays. You could get very good at using these controls and being able to control your ship exactly how you want, and it would probably be a whole lot of fun. For the most part, I had fun with this game. It didn't blow me away, but it was consistently fun. I did consistently want to keep playing more. Really, it was real life that kind of stopped me from playing more of it this week, but it's definitely a good game, and if you like shooters like this, it's probably right up your alley. As I said, I had issues with the controls, but most of that is probably on me. I can recognize that that's probably my problem, not a problem with the game. Regardless, though, definitely worth $1. It's definitely, again, a game that's well worth the $1 in the Humble Bundle. So, that's all I have on Galak-Z. If you like the video, maybe give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. If not, thumbs down is over there as well. Either way, you can let me know what you thought in the comments below. Let me know what other Humble Bundle games you're interested in taking a look at, and I'll see if I can get to them. Probably not going to hit that new PlayStation bundle that came out this week, just because either a lot of those games I've either played, or they're games that I'm not sure how much interest other people are going to have, and honestly, I don't personally have a lot of interest in a few of those. So, anyway. I am going to try to put out another video or two for more games in that Indie Humble Bundle set, mostly because I bought the whole thing, and also because there were actually a lot of games in there that I had heard good things about, or I had been meaning to play for a while. So hopefully I can get another video or two up later this week. And yeah, that's all I've really got. So thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.